blues fans, glad you made it. Time for another episode of This Week in the Blues. It's our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Madsen, with the blues band Big Train and the Locomotives. We're your favorite blues nerds. So let's take a look and see what happened this week in blues history.
Kansas Joe McCoy was born May 11th in 1905 in Raymond, Mississippi. Now, McCoy was drawn to Memphis, Tennessee, where he played guitar and sang during the 1920s. There he met and teamed up with his future wife, Lizzie Douglas, a blues guitar player better known as Memphis Minnie. Now, their 1930 recording of the song Bumblebee for Columbia Records was a hit. In 1930, the couple moved to Chicago, where they were an important part of the burgeoning blues scene there. On May 12th in 1952, blues harmonica player Little Walter recorded Juke. The track was a groundbreaking instrumental that established Little Walter Jacobs as a national recording star and brought unprecedented prominence to the harmonica as a prime instrument in the blues. Untold numbers of blues performers took up the harp in the wake of Juke's 20-week run on Billboard's Rhythm and Blues charts. Happy birthday to L.C. Good Rockin' Robinson. This blues singer was both a guitar and fiddle player. He learned to play guitar when he was only 9 years old and was supposedly mentored by gospel blues singer and guitar player Blind Willie Johnson in the bottleneck style of slide. Later in his career, he was introduced to the steel guitar by Western swing musician Leon McAuliffe and became a noted fiddle player who instructed Sugar Cane Harris. L.C. Robinson's brother, harmonica player A.C. Robinson, collaborated with him in Texas in the 1930s, and later the two performed and recorded together in a band in California in the 1940s. Blues sax player Grady Gaines was born May 14, 1934. He grew up in the Fifth Ward, a racially segregated neighborhood of Houston, Texas. Now, Gaines worked as a session musician for Peacock Records, then performed and recorded with Little Richard's backing band, the Upsetters, in the 1950s. He also backed other musicians such as Dee Clark, Little Willie John, Sam Cooke, James Brown, Jackie Wilson, and Joe Tex. He released 3 solo albums, and he's also the brother of the late blues guitar player Roy Gaines. Here's another Mississippi ghost story about blues singer and guitar player Willard Ramblin' Thomas, who may have been born sometime in 1901 or 1902 and is thought to have died around 1945. Now, we do know he was born in Logansport, Louisiana. He was one of 9 children in his family and is the brother of blues musician Jesse Thomas. He is best remembered for his slide guitar playing and for several recordings he made in the late 1920s and 1930s. Blues scholars seem undecided if his nickname referred to a style of playing guitar or his itinerant nature. On May 5th, 1929, blues singer Bessie Smith recorded Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out in New York City. It became one of her biggest hits and is the song that most people associate with Bessie Smith. When Smith's record was released on September 13, 1929, a Friday the 13th, the lyrics turned out to be oddly prophetic. The New York stock market had reached an all-time high less than 2 weeks later, only to go into its biggest decline 2 weeks later in the Wall Street crash of 1929 and signaled the beginning of the 10-year Great Depression. On May 16, 1986, Johnny Carson and his band leader Doc Severinsen wear fake beards in honor of ZZ Top, who perform Sharp Dressed Man and Tush on The Tonight Show. Back then, whenever the act performed on The Tonight Show, they were always complimented in one way or another by the Tonight Show Orchestra. Both of the songs on this particular show were augmented by a horn section, not something you normally hear on ZZ Top songs. You can watch the clip on YouTube, and I'll include a link in the show notes. Blues harp player and singer Big George Brock was born May 16, 1932, in Grenada, Mississippi. By the time he was 8, he was working as a sharecropper picking cotton. Brock was surrounded by blues music, and his father taught him and his brothers how to play harmonica as a child. Later in life, he gave up boxing and focused on his music, forming his own band, Big George and the House Rockers. He relocated to St. Louis, and blues guitar player Albert King played in Brock's band before King went off to form his own. Speaking of Albert King, on May 17, 1967, he recorded his blues classic, Born Under a Bad Sign. The lyrics were written by Stax Records rhythm and blues singer William Bell, with music by Stax band leader Booker T. Jones of Booker T. and the MGs. It became a blues standard, as well as an R&B hit for King, and numerous blues and other musicians have made it perhaps one of the most recorded Albert King songs. Blues maestro Taj Mahal was born May 17th in 1942. Now his birth name is Henry St. Clair Fredericks. He plays guitar, banjo, piano, harmonica, and many other instruments, often incorporating elements of world music into his work. Mahal has done much to reshape the definition and scope of blues music over the course of his more than 50-year career by fusing it with non-traditional forms, including the sounds from the Caribbean, Africa, India, Hawaii, and the South Pacific. One of the Delta's most prolific piano players, Joshua Altheimer, was born on May 17, 1911, in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Now, he mastered the emerging boogie-woogie style of the 1930s as he accompanied some of the legendary blues musicians of his era. He played his first years in Arkansas, performing during the late 1920s. And by the 1930s, Altheimer had moved to Chicago and was playing with the likes of John Lee, Sonny Boy Williamson, Washboard Sam, Jazz Gillum, and Lonnie Johnson. From 1937 to 1940, he played on more than 50 tunes for Big Bill Brunzi, who described him as the best blues piano player I ever heard. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. Now, if you want to hear more about these artists or other things that happened this week in the blues, be sure to follow our social media pages or just go out and visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. Now, we'll have a brand new episode next week, and we'll talk about blues piano player Pine Top Perkins and blues shouter Big Joe Turner. It's going to be a great show, so we'll see you then.